What's up, everybody? Weston here with the Hidden Gibbon, back, and this is the last guild in our top 5 cards for any commander deck. Let me know, if you watch this, in the comments down below, if you want to see the wedges, like Naya, Esper, Jund, Temur, etc. I will do those. I'm going to take a little break from it, because I've probably reached peak saturation, right? People are probably tired of seeing this series, so I might wait a little bit before I do those ones. But last, and certainly not least, we have Selesnya today, and I want to hear from all of you, as usual. What Selesnya cards do you run in every one of the decks that you can, right? Whether it be Bant, Selesnya, oh my goodness, I can't remember them all, Naya. I can't remember them all offhand, because I'm tired, friends, and I am sick. But let me know about them in the comments down below. So, we're going to lead off with a creature that I have near and dear to my heart. I love this card. It's one of my favorite ones to play. And it's Shalai, Voice of Plenty. She's a 3/4 for 4, and she's a white card, but she's technically Selesnya because she has an activated ability down here, which is pay 4 and 2 green, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. I'm going to be honest with you, I almost never play that ability. Unless I have an absurd amount of mana, I just don't use that ability almost ever. What I do use her for is the following. She has flying, which is good. Evasion is always good. Friends, always find ways to run creatures with some form of evasion in your decks. Whether it be flying, shadow, menace, run them. I guarantee you, you will have a better time and win more games if you have evasion. And then planeswalkers you control, and other creatures you control have hexproof. That's really good. And if you can give her hexproof via, like, our wonderful Swiftfoot Boots or our Lightning Creeps, even better. And then giving her indestructible, then people just weep. But I have found that this card has saved me on more times than I can count, because at her very lowest floor, she is a Lightning Rod. She will eat a spell that you wanted something else to not eat, because they have to deal with this. Unless it's mass removal, they've got to target their removal at her before they can target the rest of your stuff. She is a good utility card, and honestly, a 4-drop isn't that bad for what you get out of this, right? You're not going to get targeted by discard, you're not going to get targeted by mill, you're not going to get targeted by some sort of spell that takes control of your turns. This creature is overall pretty good, and she has that extra utility, so if you do have a billion lands in the late game when you play her, you can stack a bunch of counters on all of your creatures and then just overrun your opponents. She is really fun. She's also a very cheap card. That's a lot of this list. These lists that I'm doing are cards that are not super duper expensive, because believe it or not, despite the fact that my collection is worth, like, about as much as a small house, well, yeah, about as much as a small cottage. Yikes, that makes me feel bad. Especially if you combine that with my gun collection, my World War II gun collection, friends, and antiques. Yikes. But overall, very fun, budget, cheap card. We're gonna move on from that. Next, we have ourselves Mirari's Wake. Now, I get it. Mirari's Wake. I play this for nostalgia. I'm going to be very honest here. It is mostly nostalgia that gets me to still play this card. This card is one of the original power cards in Commander. I remember this going in every single deck that you could fit it in, because it doubled your mana and it made your creatures stronger. At a time where, when Commander first started, creatures were still part of that. Creatures aren't super, super good. Spells are really good, and so this just made things better. And it's so what is it? It's an enchantment for 3 generic, a green and a white, and it simply says creatures you control get +1/+1, and whenever you tap a mana or land for mana, add 1 mana of any type that land could produce. So again, doubles your mana essentially if the land taps for 1. And yes, it has been power crept. Yes, there are cards that do this but more efficiently, but as I said in yesterday's Gruul list, I really, really believe in redundancy, and I'll be honest, I don't always pick the most streamlined and efficient cards because I like variety and I like having pet cards in there, and this is one of them. Now, you don't have to run Mirari's Wake in all of your decks, but if you can find a place for it, if it fits your mana curve, if you think it'll benefit you, I promise you, this thing hits the board, especially in an era where, you know, honestly, I see people running less enchantment removal than what they used to. People used to run a ton of artifacted enchantment removal, like a Shatterstorm for artifacts and things like that. I don't see those as much anymore. People run really niche ones, single target ones. They might not waste it on a Mirari's Wake because it runs under the radar, right? Mirari's Wake is up there with Caged Sun and Gauntlet of Power for like cards that used to be seeing a ton of play in old Commander that have kind of been cost restricted out because everybody is always moving towards the most efficient thing. But especially at bracket 2, I think Mirari's Wake would do a very great job for you. So, and this card again is super cheap, especially since it has fallen by the wayside. Next, we have Gaddock Teeg. Gaddock Teeg saw Legacy play. I'm pretty sure Gaddock Teeg saw Modern and Standard play. Gaddock Teeg is a great card. If you are running a low-to-the-ground deck in any colors that run Selesnya, run Gaddock Teeg. He is a stacks piece, so people might look at you with some ire, but he's a 2/2 creature. He dies to Doomblade, so people can't get too butthurt. Gaddock Teeg is a 2/2 for 1 green and 1 white, and he says non-creature spells with converted mana cost of 4 or greater can't be cast. And then non-creature spells with X in their mana cost can't be cast. So this is why I'm saying that you want to run like a low-to-the-ground spells deck with him. Like, make sure that you don't have very many non-creature spells in your deck that are 4 or more because you don't want to non-bow yourself. And then creature spells, non-creature spells with X in their mana cost can't be cast. Other than like Genesis Wave and the White Sun's Twilight, I don't run a whole lot of X spells in my Selesnya stuff, so I'm fine there. And I find that this just shuts off my opponents, especially in these low-to-the-ground decks. If you're running go-wide decks, you know, most Wrath effects are 4 or greater. Yeah, there's a couple like Split Up that are 3, and Battle of Bywater, which you can get away with Battle of Bywater in this deck because it costs 3 and it won't kill your creatures if you're going low. You're just going to shut off people's Wrath effects. You're going to shut off people's big stupid things like Omniscience. This card is really fun. It's really strong, and your opponent. This teaches your opponents to run interaction. That is my hot take of the day. This will teach your opponents to run interaction and run a more balanced deck instead of just doing their thing. What happens to you if you can't do your thing? Yeah. So, yeah, that's Gaddock Teeg. Next, we have Kutsil Malamet Exemplar. And now, he does see a lot of play. I see him in a lot of decks. But I also run him in a lot of decks, and he's an uncommon. It's a 3/3 for 3, and your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. There's nothing I hate more than having to cast like some big Autochton worm, and then somebody's just like, counterspell. And they're like, oh, no. And then whenever one or more creatures you control, each with power greater than its base power, deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. So, you can run a lot of one. This is great in 1/1 counters decks, or in Voltron decks because they get powered up and then you can draw cards, and then also keeps people from countering your stuff or removing at instant speed. Very fun, very good. I really appreciate this card for all of its utility. It draws a lot of hate, so I would rather this, like, that is my philosophy for a lot of cards like this, Gaddock Teeg, etc., and Shalai, is that these are like the secret service of your deck, right? They're strong in their own right. They draw a lot of hate, and they're going to keep your commander from getting assassinated, because people are going to want to hate this thing out to be able to get to your commander. So, Kutsil Malamet Exemplar, pretty fun. Use him, like I said, in counters, Voltron, Enchantress decks. Very strong, very good. Will net you a bunch of cards as long as he doesn't die. And then, last but certainly not least, I love this card, and I run it in every deck. I don't see anyone ever run it. It is from the Aftermath boosters, so that might be why nobody runs it. But Choose target permanent card in your graveyard. If it has mana value 3 or less, you may put it onto the battlefield. If you don't put it onto the battlefield, put it into your hand, and you gain 3 life. The 3 life is a nice little top off there. It has beautiful art with like the world tree, and then it brings stuff back. I run this in my Hobbits deck. I run this in my Janara deck, my Tokens deck. Every single deck that can run this card can, along with other cards like it, to just bring stuff back. I like this better than Sun Titan, because Sun Titan costs 6, and, you know, Sun Titan is a white card, and sometimes getting to 6 in white is a little tricky, whereas 3 is pretty easy. And especially in low to the ground decks, like, say you want to get your Kutso back, or your Gaddock Teeg, this is the card for you. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know what Selesnya cards you really like. These are the ones that I jam in every deck, but of course every player plays differently. As always, I'm Weston with the Hidden Gibbon. Again, let me know if you want me to do the wedges, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.